Greetings, friends. Welcome back to Surviving Hollywood. I'm Johnny Ray Diaz.
My name is Aaron Arnold.
My name is Austin Arnold.
And we just sat down with a good friend of mine, Jozanne Marie, who is a talented author, actress, spoken word performer, just a poet. She is super talented. And I had the privilege of knowing her. We worked together at the East LA Classic Theater and as teaching artists, and we both sat down and talked about her new book, Beautiful.
New book is called Beautiful, Unabashed and Unafraid.
Unashamed.
Unashamed and Unafraid.
In stores now.
Yep, Beautiful, yep. Amazon.
Barnes & Noble.
A girl, an island, and an unimaginable secret. As a young girl growing up in Jamaica, Jozanne Marie's greatest desire was to restore a missing ancestral link and satisfy a longing for one person she believed could affirm her identity, her father.
So, really cool story. I saw the one-woman play, which is based on her life and turned into this book. It's a very, very powerful piece and very heavy, but also very light because it's all about overcoming tragedy. Right. And I think that was the emphasis of what the conversation was, is us talking about the book that's out and the one woman play and how you just overcome different things as it defines you as a person.
And we just talked about, so how do you put on a one woman play? How do you write a book and get it picked up by a major publisher?
Right.
She gives us the answers. And stay tuned for the entirety of this episode because she talks about how an unnamed, for now, A-list celebrity that you've seen his movies,
Oscar winning,
found interest in her play.
Yeah, and her story.
Yeah, and her story.
And it's helping her produce it into a movie, still in the early stages.
Feature film.
And it looks like it's getting pretty close. They've been working hand in hand together, so that's really exciting for her.
But she was a lovely guest. Everybody should check out her book and enjoy the episode.
It's funny because Jozanne was late to the podcast.
Yes, I was.
Said that she got pulled over by the cops.
I did.
Really?
On Fairfax in Venice.
What was the officer's name?
Rodriguez.
Ooh.
Okay.
I believe it now. I believe it.
What happened?
Shouldn't have been speeding.
Well, I was in a right turn only lane. That's how it all started.
And you went straight.
And I went straight, and I heard, "Whoa!" And then he goes, but I didn't see it because just how the lane was set up and driving that. Oops, sorry.
Right up on that mic. Don't want to miss a word.
So anyway, he pulled me over, and he started off with your you shouldn't have tinted windows in the front.
Are they that dark or what?
I don't think so, personally.
Did you get them specially darkened?
But it was really funny. No, I bought the car that way. So I'm like, I've had this car for like 8 years. No cop has ever,
Check your eyesight, buddy. Your eyesight's getting dark.
Pulled me over. And so then he tried to give me like a test, like, okay. I'm like, no one has ever pulled me over. And he put up a paper. And he was
wait. This is the first time you've ever been pulled over?
First time.
You always remember.
After,
I don't know if I believe that one.
Well,
First time?
No, not the first time I've been pulled over, but for the tinted
Oh,
glasses.
okay. I was like, wait, the first time ever?
Exemplary driver.
That's magical.
But it was funny because he put up like this white paper up against the glass, and he was like, "Can you see this? Can you read it?" And I'm like, I actually can't. But anyway, so that took a minute, but
did he give you a ticket?
He gave me a warning.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Rodriguez turned out to be a good guy.
Yeah.
You should have said, hey, look, I'm in a hurry. Got to get to the podcast.
Well, I told him, I was like, I have to be somewhere by 12 o'clock. He didn't care. He's like, give me your license. So,
all right. Well, I'm glad you're here with us.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. So what's going on with you? What have you been up to?
Wow.
What's new in life?
What's new in life? Well, I just published a book.
So much.
You guys might have noticed there's a book here in front of us.
Right here.
There it is. The author's sitting right here.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
In stores now.
In stores. Unashamed and Unafraid. And so I published that. And so right now I'm on a book tour with it at just different, bookstores, book clubs, conferences and so forth.
This is the kind of thing that could be on Oprah's book club.
You bet. You know what? Can you say that again for
Yeah.
Miss O?
Oprah, if you're listening, this is the kind of stuff you pick all the time. Really great.
Oprah's book club. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I feel like if you get that endorsement, like you're set.
You are.
Right? I mean,
Right.
what else? I don't even need to promote the book anymore. It's done. And she's going to hand them all to the audience. You get one, you get one, you get one.
So what is it about for our audience? What
Yeah.
is the story?
Well, the book is about my life from Jamaica as a little girl coming to the United States and just overcoming some trials in my life. You know, unfortunately, like I went through like abuse as a child, and basically the book is about not letting a tragic event be the story of your life. So it's not necessarily about just those issues. It's about when you encounter a tragedy in your life, how do you face it? Because most times it's just an event. And what happens is we make it become the story, and we filter our life, and we filter our life through, you know, sometimes our past. And so that's what the book is about.
People define themselves
Yeah.
oftentimes
Yeah.
by the trauma.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Especially when you're a kid. I mean, that shapes a lot of who you become,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
What's the response been from the book?
People, man. So just to say this, you know, the book started off as a play. So it was a one-woman show, and what inspired me to write the book, and I tell the story all the time because it still impacts me, and it's one of the things that really fuel my drive to continue to share and be open about this subject matter, was that the last night of the run of my show, I had a Jewish woman who was in her 70s.
And that story's in your book.
Yes.
I remember reading that.
Yeah. And she walked over to me at the end of the night, and she was just crying and, you know, just very emotional. And she says to me, you know, young lady, you know, when I was 8 years old, I was raped, and tonight is the first time I'm talking about it. And I just stood there and cried because I'm like, I'm a Jamaican woman, this Jewish woman, I mean, just age, you know, racial differences, different things, but we had so much in common. And just to realize that this woman waited 60-something years to really break her silence was very emotional to me. And that's when I saw it more than just like a play or a performance, that it had legs and that the conversation needed to, you know, continue. So that was one of the things that really inspired me to write the book. And just to answer your question, so I've been getting a lot of great feedback of just people telling stories like that or expressing themselves in ways that they didn't before just by reading the book, you know? So,
Yeah.
I think what was cool is that I saw the play.
Yeah.
I remember going to it. And so for the audience at home, we actually know each other because we used to work for the East LA Classic Theater.
Yeah.
Che Kool-Aid.
Gesundheit?
Exactly. So that's how we met. We were both teaching artists, mostly at Southgate, right?
Yeah.
Southgate. And I remember going to the one-woman show, and I was like, okay, well, you know, this is really cool, supporting, you know, hear what this is all about. I know it was something that was special to you.
Yeah.
And I remember after watching it, it's almost like, it's kind of crazy because the Jozanne I know, that I've gotten to know over several months and everything like that, I was like, I never would have imagined that she went through so many things.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you were on stage and you were super vulnerable and you're putting your whole story out there, I was like, first of all, it's really hard to engage an audience with a one-person play.
Right.
But amazing job.
Thank
Fantastic. You. And like on top of that, I'm like, wow, I never would have guessed that you've gone through so many things and you are who you are now. Because, I mean, you're like this like ball of light.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I
Johnny.
mean? So it was really cool.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? So I think it's a testament too of how
Yeah.
you've overcome that tragedy and
Yeah.
you've changed. So
Yeah. No,
What was better, Johnny? What was better, the play or the book?
I haven't finished the book.
Yeah.
The book is excellent though.
Yeah.
The book is really well written. The play, I mean, it's just different. I mean, it's just a different experience, right?
Yeah.
How comparing the two, what do you think people are more receptive to?
Well, I think there are people who obviously saw the play and they're like, oh, I want to read the book because, it's obviously extended. There's just but so much you can put on in 90 minutes in a show. And there are people who have now read the book but never seen the play. So I'm sure people have different things. I mean, different opinions, I should say. I am planning on doing the play one more time in LA.
Nice.
In November, I believe.
We need to see it.
You guys should go. I encourage it.
I'll go.
So, people who've read the book is like, I want to go see the play, because it's just two different mediums. The book I think is more of going more in depth of my own spiritual journey in where I am today. Whereas the play is just on a specific area of my life, and it's kind of more zoned in on that and showing a little bit how I overcame. So I think the book, if you've seen the play, reading the book will expound more. Yeah. So
Would you say that the book is classified as like autobiographical or nonfiction, or?
It's a memoir. I mean, yeah. So it's something more personal, experience. It's not just, step by step, like everything that happened in my life. It's a memoir of a specific situation that took place and how I overcame. And so it kind of gives details and encouragement to people, like, maybe you can try this, or think this way. I don't know. However, it touches people.
Why did you decide to do the play? Like, what was the initial moment of I need to do this?
She's an actress.
You are an actress as well. I know. I know. But some people, like you said, they like that Jewish woman hid for 67 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not something necessarily people always want to put forward.
True.
Right.
So what made you decide to take that step?
Wow. There's so many things. One, I'm going to say your show, your podcast.
We have the 3 hours.
Surviving Hollywood. So I came out here as an actor, and did mostly a lot of commercials and
Sprite, I saw.
Yeah, Sprite.
Nice.
And I did, just a part in a feature film, and that was like the biggest thing I've ever done. But
was that Tears of the Sun?
Tears of the Sun with Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Did you guys shoot that in the jungle somewhere, or where?
We shot it in Hawaii. We were in Hawaii for 3 months.
Very nice jungle to go to.
Yeah. Very nice jungle.
It wasn't like I was in the Amazon.
Right, no. But it was hard work, though.
Yeah, we were suffering in those air-conditioned tents. I don't know.
Was Bruce Willis a consummate professional?
What?
Was Bruce Willis good to work with?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Just wondering.
Yeah.
That's what I like to hear.
It was a fun shoot. We had Cole Hauser, Eamon Walker, Akuso Boswa. They were just really great people that was on that set. And I learned a lot. But it was hard work because we were really in the forest in Hawaii.
Did you say you were running a lot?
Running. We were in the mud because it had to look like it was in Nigeria and the pillage village and the Civil War, So there was some hard work. When we came home after set, I know at the hotel.
The hotel at the beach, the 5-star hotel on the beach. You're like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna lay out by the water.
I'm like, the house.
I'm just kidding.
Cleaner. She's probably thinking, Black people do rub off, because there was just a lot of mud in the
what are they into?
In the bathroom. Anyway, but.
She's probably seen it all.
I know.
She's
what's the towels? It's
Another one.
everything. It's a mess. But, after that shoot and I came back to LA, I really wanted, one of the main reasons why I wanted to be an actor, because film and TV really made an impact in my life. That helped me even overcame a lot of things in my life, like watching The Color Purple, specific really great films that really impacted me. And so I wanted to be an artist to make an impact, whatever the character is, And so when I came back, I had a manager at the time, and they wanted me to be a little bit more, commercial, in the sense of just show a little bit more skin and just a lot of different things that they wanted me to do.
Dye your hair blonde.
Yes. And I was like, I tried it for a minute, but I felt like it wasn't me. So that season of my life, I decided that I was going to take a break because I was becoming like this person, where it's like, okay, it's about money, it's about where you live, it's about, just the grind, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
Is there anything else?
This is survival.
Right. And so I'm like, okay, I really need to find out who I am as a person and who I am as an artist and what I really want to do. So I took a break and I went into inner city missionary work because
That's got to be tough.
Yeah. I went into that because I really had a heart for people who have been homeless or people who are going through tough times. And so that was like a season in my life where I felt I discovered a lot more about who I was.
That was in LA?
This was in LA, in the South Bay. And it was just like a ministry that had people who were on drugs or overcoming just hard, situations.
And what did you do there specifically?
I basically just talked or prayed with people or just walked with them through, their trial. Pretty much. That's what I did. And it was just day in, day out and just meeting people. And for me, I started to realize just how I really felt about just my place in the world and getting to hear people's story. Because a lot of times you see people and you don't really know the backstory.
Why they got there, what happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that was that. And that season lasted for like 5 years of my life. And I thought I was going to go to Haiti because I have a lot of friends in Haiti who are missionaries. And so I thought I was going to go to Haiti and become a missionary, And, but that didn't work out. I was still in LA.
Oh, man.
I know, right? And
guys, I'd go, but I just booked the Sprite commercial. I'm sorry.
I can't. Can't do it. Yeah. And then I was writing Beautiful for a while. So I wanted to do Beautiful. The play. On and off. Like I knew I was supposed to do this solo play. And so I was writing it on and off before even that season. And it just wasn't ready because I was looking back now, I'm like, I wasn't ready,
Have you ever, do you have is there a one woman or one man show that inspired you? Do you like one person shows?
Yeah, actually my mentor was Charlene Woodard. So Charlene Woodard is known, she's like a Tony nominated actress. You probably see her on The Fresh Prince.
Who is she? She's in every episode.
No, she played one of the aunts, but she was in Glass with, what's his name? Samuel Jackson. She played his mother.
I know who you're talking about. She played, wasn't she Will Smith's mom?
She was not
like his stepmom, but his actual
not
mom.
Aunt Viv.
Not Aunt Viv.
Not Aunt Viv, but his actual mom that lived in Philly. Wasn't that her?
No, she played one of the aunts.
One of the aunts who came over for the Christmas episodes.
Yeah, but she has her first show was pretty fire. All My Life. She's done great theater. Like that's what she's known for. If you look her up, she sells out like the Mark Taper.
Cool.
Celebrities come out to watch her. She's really
big venues.
Big deal. And so I had the honor and to work with her through that process when I was dramaturging my play.
Cool.
So that helped me a lot, and I was really inspired by her too. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So then you got yours going based on that inspiration.
Yeah. So I got mine going, and I just decided to just put it up. And one of the things that I'm learning. Surviving Hollywood.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to the roots.
Yeah. One of the things that I am learning is that, we all have a story in our art too, that we want to express. And I felt like this was such a big part of who I was and am to some level, and putting beautiful out there. I'm a poet. So, in the spoken word artist. So we have poetry in the play, we have narrative, dialogue, 3 of them combined.
It was cool because it was not only the message was great, but it was also really funny, engaging. There was a lot of moments where I was like cracking up. It was great. It had a little bit of everything in it.
Oh, thank you.
Did you receive any pushback because it's such a heavy, thematically heavy like book from, I don't know, family members or people telling you, hey, should you really be writing this heavy of a stuff?
I didn't get any pushback at first. You see,
It's about overcoming that, though, in the inspiration.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
No, I didn't get that until after the play ran for like 5 weeks, and then people started to hear about it more.
Were these strangers or just people you actually
My
knew?
family, one of my family members read it. It was in the LA Times. And it's so funny because I remember that moment. I didn't even know it was in the LA Times. And a friend called me up and she was like,
You didn't know?
I didn't know at all. I mean, because when they do the show and they bring, people to come out and see it, you just don't know who's going to write about it. And so I just remember a friend called me up and she was like, you're in the LA Times and they wrote about Beautiful. And I'm like, no. Like, you think I would be excited.
Yeah.
But it was like, now it was more than just a stage with a few people in a way. I felt like it was out there and there were other people and situations involved and I didn't know how they were going to react to it. And because I didn't do it to expose necessarily or to hurt anyone, but more to tell my truth, And anyway, so that was.
But some people did push, like, tell you, like, people.
Yeah,
said
I had
that you
family
shouldn't?
members that were like, well, we didn't know, or still in, unbelief about denial about that.
And she said, go fuck yourself.
Whoa, dude, whoa.
I didn't. But, it's like, that comes with it, right? Anything that you do, you're gonna get pushback no matter what. That's just life. I feel like if you're doing something and you're not getting any form of like controversy, then because you can't please people all the time.
That's our problem. That's why we can't grow.
Yeah.
Everybody likes us.
I know.
We're not pushing the boundaries.
Yeah.
So you have the play running for 5 weeks.
How did you get people in those seats? Like, how did somebody from LA Times know to come? Did you self-promote or?
So when I did a stage reading, and we did it downtown, and I had like only 15 people in the audience. And so that night, an actor, his name is Jeff Rivas, he was on CSI like for a long time.
So was Johnny. For a shorter amount of time.
NCIS.
No, I wasn't. But anyway.
And so Jeff, saw the stage reading, and he was like, I want to direct your play.
Whoa.
So I found my director that night. And
he said, what? Well, you submit me something. We'll see.
And he basically, the Latino Theater Company ended up producing it.
Okay.
So they were the one that was responsible for just getting people in the seats and promoting.
Is that the key? Get somebody like that to produce your somebody coming to Los Angeles making a one-woman show? You got to get a producer like that to get some buzz
Traction.
going?
Yeah, at some point, but I think the main thing is to start.
Right.
I feel like you put the work in, because we workshopped the show before we had the 5-week run. And we rehearsed that show sometimes 8 hours in a day for like 4 days a week for 9 months. So we put
I think that's against equity rules.
You're right about that.
Oh, so that never happened.
That never happened.
Never
Let me
happened.
take that back. But no, it's about just really loving your craft and not. I feel like that's the icing on the cake at the end, getting someone. Because I feel like if you do good work and you're continuous and you are disciplined and you just keep doing it, someone is going to notice, notice. And so I just feel like at that point, we were prepared and we did the work, and then, they saw they saw it for what it was.
Work spoke for itself.
Yeah. So I would advise anyone who wants to do a one-woman show, because I've seen one man, one-woman show, and it's not just, it's about storytelling, and it's about really, one of the reasons why it took so long, because I had over 16 characters that I was portraying in the show. And
Whoa.
yeah, and so we wanted them to be really defined, so when you're telling the story, people know who this person is, and it's not like all kind of blended in. You know what I mean?
So like any Eddie Murphy movie, that would be a big inspiration.
Yeah.
For you, the original
Yeah.
guy to play him.
The Nutty Professor.
That holds up. I just watched a clip on
Direct
YouTube. It's good.
correlation.
And then, what is the key to get the book published? Like for all our young filmmakers and authors out there,
Yeah.
how do you get it published?
So you finish the run, and then how does it eventually evolve into the?
So I finished the run, and then I started touring with it, like going to different colleges and blah, blah, blah. And just by the talk back, we would have a talk back every show. Most of the shows, we would have a talk back.
Now on this tour of the play, is that same company producing and paying for you to be in these venues, or are you taking care of that, or how does that work?
Well, basically what it is that, like say for instance, we did it at UCLA.
Yeah.
And someone saw the show, wants to bring it to UCLA. So they would produce it.
They contact
They
you.
contact me, yeah.
Okay.
And then they'll put it up and promote it and so forth.
How many people traveled together? You, obviously, and then did you have like a team of people?
Normally it was just me and my manager.
Perfect.
When,
Keep it light.
no, yeah, pretty much. We did it also in Montreal, and a lot of times you just get someone who obviously understands stage and lighting. You send them a script, and you have your stage, cues and so forth in the script, and they know how to do it, and you go in and rehearse before the show.
Were there a lot of light cues and stuff, or?
They were. It all depends though, because the show, like I could do it in a living room without lights or anything. Obviously, it makes it much more fancy and schmancy.
You could do theater in the park.
Yeah, you could just do it anywhere. So that's the beauty of it, and it's not a lot of set. I have like 3 boxes, and it's so funny because black boxes. Someone came to the show and she's like, "Oh, I walked in, I saw 3 black." I'm like, "What kind of show is this?" Like, where's the set? And then she gets lost into the whole storytelling of it, because that's what the one woman or one man show should be: is you painting the picture and not literally having it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing UCLA, and then you're touring in Montreal and all these places, and then when does it eventually kind of formulate to this?
I think our talk back would go for like an hour. So when you're in a space, it's like we gotta get out. Like
I've done plenty of talkbacks. Don't people ask like the worst questions? Like, wasn't it hard to learn those lines?
I mean, some people do. They do.
This guy's jaded. Jaded.
I love it. No, I love the talk. That's like my favorite part of the show, because you get to really connect with people and hear what they really think, and I have people who struggle. Like, I wouldn't do what you did. You have to see the show and read the book to know what it is. But, the talk back is my favorite. So we would have the talk back, and normally it's supposed to be like 30 minutes. And a lot of times we will go like 45 to an hour. And that's when it inspired me even more. I'm like, I need to write something to give people, because you open this door and you just leave it open. And I feel like the book kind of like gives some kind of guidance, rather than trying to wrap something heavy that can be light. And the reason why I'm saying that is because people always, when you talk about issue with abuse or sexual traumas, people will go, that's a heavy topic. Yes, it is, but when you talk about it, it becomes a light topic, and we want to get to light, and so that inspired me to write the book and just be like, okay, this was me giving back to my audience something to take with them if they need it.
And you wrote it with no publisher, no distribution. And then how do you get that? So
one of the things you're going to learn about me,
yeah,
I call myself a faith walker. I feel like if you're an actor, you got to have faith. You got to believe in the impossible, you know, and I'm not trying to put like religion out there. I'm just saying we're taking this walk as actors in a place that, in an industry that no one really promised us anything. We're just...
Wait, they didn't?
They didn't. I'm sorry, Johnny.
Not me. Sorry, buddy.
News to me.
And so you know, people leave from miles to come to LA or wherever to follow a dream and just trusting in a talent, a gift that someone is going to take notice, right? So for me, over the years, walking that walk and practicing it, because I think stepping out on faith is a practice like anything else. And so that's what it was for the book. It was like, I'm going to write a book. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it. And so I just started writing from my heart, and that took me 2 years. So from 2015 to 17, I kept writing, and I wrote until I felt I had nothing else to say. And that's how I knew it was finished. But I never wrote a book before. So I don't know, you know, was it good? Was it not? So what I did was I sent out copies. I made copies of my manuscript, and I sent it out to people who were writers of films that is in the industry, mothers at home. I had like specific people that I knew was going to give me honest feedback, because I needed that. You know, I didn't know where else to go with it after that. So that was my first step. And so I sent out to like 15 people, and they sent me back the script all written up, and notes. And then I wrote it again, you know, and some I took, some I was like, okay, that's your opinion, but I really feel I need to put this in there, you know, whatever. And when I was finished, I just, I started doing research on people. I knew that I didn't want to self-publish because marketing is not my thing. And I knew that was going to be like a second and third job for me. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want to self-publish. I want to publish.
Nobody wants to self-publish, right?
You get more money if you self-publish.
I guess.
But it's harder to get it out there.
Right. I guess some people maybe like to be in control of it, sort of.
I think you chose right.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
feels like a disadvantage.
I wanted to go with that first because, you know, sometimes you got to just know your strength and your weakness. I felt like it was going to be like this burden if I self-publish.
For sure.
You know, because you got to invest everything that the publishers are going to invest. You got to invest financially. You got to market your book. You know, just so many things that I felt like I was doing other things beside this book, and I wanted to also do those things. So I didn't want to just have my whole time go to like trying to market the book, you know? Right. And I had to be honest with myself about that. So that was a process, because I got people who told me, oh, you can self-publish, or you know, I'm like, no, I want a publisher. But I wanted a good publisher.
Yes.
And so, you know, in your mindset, you're like, well, never wrote a book before.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to really take notice? I'm not like a name actor. Well, you know, Beyonce is like, I wrote a book. You know, the line is down the block. You know, I'm not Beyonce. Yeah. So, you know, but I knew that I had something to say. And I struggled with that a lot. Like just thinking like, people going to read the book, you know? And I go, well, you know what? This has been like 30 years of my life that I'm sure I have some experience. This is not something I'm just thinking up in writing. This is like my experience, you know? And so I felt very qualified in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know? And so I started researching people that I really love, like Devon Franklin, who is a producer in Hollywood, because it's a book that talks about spirituality, but it's not, it's kind of edgy. So it's not just like, you know, your book you're going to pick up and it's going to be like, you know, it's raw.
Right.
And so I started researching people who write like that and talk like that. And then I found out some of their representatives.
Nice.
And I started
like their literary agents?
Yeah, agents. And I I researched one online that I really liked, and called my manager and I was like, hey, let's reach out to them. But before that, I knew that I had to have a proposal. And so your proposal is like another book because a proposal is like almost 60 pages.
Really? Whoa.
Yeah.
It's just a synopsis, or?
Well, no, they ask you for 3 of your best chapters.
Oh.
Then you have to give like your bio and a breakdown of why you think people should buy this book and your marketing plan. And
now, did you already know this, or was this like stuff you learned as you were researching it? Or did they specifically request that?
I researched, I did my own research in what, if you want to get a book published, what are the steps?
This is the process.
This is the process. And they're like, you need a proposal. That's the first thing they're going to ask you because they ain't got time to read my book was literally 400 pages and they cut it down to 283, So I'm like, okay, let me be prepared before we reach out. So I did my proposal and my manager called and, it was a big agency and my manager is like, when he saw who it was, he's like, because they represent like, what's his name? They represent like T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen, a lot of big actors who are like inspirational, motivational speakers. And so he's like, Jozanne, you ain't got no church. You ain't got no congregation. What, And I'm like, look, the worst they could say is what? No. So that goes back to the faith walk. Sometimes we don't want to put ourselves out there, because we feel like we're not qualified. But you just never know. I feel like if you do the work and you feel like you did it well, go for it.
And what was the agency? Do you mind saying?
Dupree Miller.
Nice.
Yeah,
Boom.
Dupree Miller. And so my manager reached out and they're like, send a proposal. I'm like, bam, here you go. It was done. And it took them 2 months because it was right before the holidays. So it was like November. They didn't get back to me till like February.
Did you assume that they...
Worst 2 months of her life.
I know. And what's funny was that I only researched one other agency, but my bet was on Dupree. Like, I really didn't start looking for anything. I was just like, I'm going to put it out there and let's just see what happens. So I waited, and then it's so funny because when I got my manager sent me a text, and he was like, did you get the email? And I'm like, what email? And he's like, they responded, and I'm like, oh, they hated it. He goes, what is wrong with you? And so they were like, we want to have a meeting with you, Jozanne. And then we had a conference call, and that led to this. Yeah.
So when your manager initially reached out, did they even reply? Or did he call them?
He called them. He was in his house frying plantains. Let's just make it clear. I'm calling from LA to Texas, frying plantains in his house, and they picked up. And he's like, oh, I have a client. She just wrote a book, He kind of give some stuff. And then they're like, well, send her proposal over. And he did, and that was it.
Oh, and then that's it. That was,
Yeah.
And at any time, did you notice, did they care about, does she have a following? Was that like ever?
That was one of the things they asked in the proposal. Like, what is your social media, your Instagram or, whatever. What is your newsletter? How many people are in your newsletters? And
do you have a newsletter?
I do. I have a newsletter that I sent out. I haven't sent out lately, but that I sent out just about keeping up to date with stuff that I'm doing. So they want to know how many contacts you have, at hand. And that's kind of scary in our world because you're like, well, I didn't have a lot of people following me. I mean, I had a great Facebook following, but not
that's
Twitter
great.
Or, but you still are subconscious about that.
Right.
There's a little spider on the mic.
Oh, Lord.
Very little.
Yeah.
Spider wants to get in on the conversation.
And you know what? I think that spider's beautiful.
Sorry, anyway.
No, you're good. But, so I sent them what I had and they responded. So,
and they said, and here's all our notes. Take this out. Take this out. add this?
No. Well, they read the proposal and they were just like, "Did you write it?" They kept asking that question.
Oh, really?
Did you write it? I'm like,
That's complimentary.
I did. But the reason they were asking, because sometimes people have, ghost writers. And so they wanted to make sure like these were my words.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so that was one thing. And then I sent them the full manuscript. They took a look at it. And then they're like, if we print your book, it's going to be 400 pages. And they're like, we wouldn't suggest that.
We charge per page. So would you mind?
I might cut it down. And so then you start thinking, what am I going to cut out of the book? Because I said everything that I wanted to say. So it's great when you have a great team that works with you. And I felt like they had, my best interests. And I was new to that world. So I was learning as well, things that, as a writer, you got to take some stuff out, just like filmmaking, you can't put everything in your film.
You can't have the 4-hour-long Quentin Tarantino director's cut. He loves it. I love the 2-hour.
We got to consume. We got to consume it.
So yeah, and then the book was here.
Nice.
Yeah. So
what? So the book was released, and how has it been doing? What's been like the response? Like, how is everything? Like, do they track that stuff?
Better than you thought it would be?
So this is how I describe the book. So when the book came, they sent me, when it was finally published, they sent me the first 10 copies. They surprised me. I didn't know that it was coming in the mail because they were like, oh, it's going to come in the next 2 months. And then like it came like a month and a half early. I'm like, what? And I was so excited. So I tell people, writing a book or getting a book published is like having a baby, and you're just like, push, yeah, it's here. And then, I gotta raise the child, I gotta feed it. What? That's how I feel about it. So it's work. It's still work. It's a blessing, and it's people. The response that I've been getting, people are touched, moved by it, telling their own stories. So I've been going to book clubs, a lot of book clubs, and bookstores, conferences, sharing and reading from the book and so forth. Book signings like at Barnes and Nobles. We're gonna do one in Calabasas coming up this month, and so that's been great. But the real work begins now because you have a product and not everyone knows you have a product, and how do you get that product out there? It's like being on shows like this one, and
So you still feel like you got to do the marketing a little bit.
This is what you said you didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why you wanted to publish it.
Guys, I thought you had taken care of all of this.
Right. Because you are the voice, So it's like
Right.
people want to hear from you, and so I feel like there's going to come a point where we market, and then we just have to release and let it kind of take its own wings. But now it's like
Someday
you're raising a child.
This book is going to turn 18, and then there's nothing you can
exactly.
do.
Got to leave the house, So, yeah.
What would you say? What's like a tip that you know now for marketing? Like, is it reaching out in somebody's DMs, a celebrity, and saying, "Hey, check this out," or?
I mean, that can work. It depends on who, obviously. I've had people who promote the book, but I think as an author, especially when you're writing a personal story, there's nothing more authentic and inspiring when people hear from you. And so being genuine with your story and I want my book to obviously, sell millions of copies. But I realize that it's a baby stage in it. Like, it's a great thing. Like, it's out and the response, and I have an audience from the play, and there's other things that are really great. But the vision for it, for me, is that it would make a difference. This book is for the next generation. I feel like as a woman and a Black woman in Hollywood, and just in the world in general, one of the things, if you look at the book cover, you see my face on the book. Well, originally, my publishers wanted a more abstract cover.
I like the face.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a good face.
Yeah.
And so I wanted my face on the book, and it wasn't like, oh, I just wanted my face. You know, a lot of times authors have like a pretty suit on and they're smiley, and I'm like, no, I wanted something that was a little bit more edgy, and the word beautiful with a woman of color on it that a little girl can pass. And I've heard someone sent me an Instagram story of a woman who was on a beach, and my friend was reading this book, and she's like, what, you know, let me see this book. Like the cover stood out to her, and it
does,
you know, and so that was very intentional for me. And so it's about leaving a legacy of just women being able to just speak their truth and not feeling ashamed about it, whatever that is. And outside of that, just being bold in life, you know. And what is beauty? I mean, the play on beautiful is not just about outer appearance, but sometimes the most tragic things and things that we go through in life can make us the most beautiful, you know, people. And so that's another spin on it as well. So I really am taking my time in really investing in people at this point with the book, so that it will have longevity. You know, one of my biggest inspirations is Maya Angelou, when she wrote I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing. That was a very personal story for her. But she was authentic, and it wasn't about getting numbers or getting followers or how many books were sold.
Well, that was, you know, decades ago.
Yeah. And
People still reference it.
Exactly.
2019, it's about the followers.
I know. Yeah.
No,
you know.
no. And the content.
Yeah.
So one thing that's really cool, we haven't touched on it yet, but the play garnished the attention of a well-known A-list actor.
Let's call him
Yes.
Mr. X.
We won't mention who it is.
We can't say who it is. He is a A-lister by any metric.
Yeah, you've guaranteed seen his movies. I'm curious because you've mentioned this to me months ago, that you were kind of working with him on this. That Beautiful is, I'm not sure where the process is now, but could potentially be turning into a film. How did that interaction start?
Okay.
And where is it now at this point?
So, going back, you know, I have to emphasize, because I'm learning this myself, about like really just living your truth and putting it out there and doing it with excellence. I'm learning that, just the discipline of that, and that you'll see the reward, you know. For me, that experience, so a friend of mine basically lived very close to this person and are friends with, you know, his wife and different things like that. And so they heard about the play. They've never seen the play. They just heard about the story. And before you know it, I was in the person's living room talking to him.
Are you a fan of this person?
I
mean, everybody kind of is, but
Everybody is.
I'm pretty sure my mom says, she's like, he's the most handsome man
right.
ever. So,
But, you know, so that was like a big moment for me, because it's like I'm down here in Torrance, and the next minute I'm in this person's living room and talking about my story. And, you know, I already started the screenplay in my own way, going back to like taking a stab at something that you've never done. And so we started working together on it.
and he just says, I like this. I want to help you turn this into a movie.
He believed in the beginning that it was supposed to be a film.
did he see the play?
No, he didn't see the play at that time.
So you've only verbally told him the story?
Yeah, he only verbally knew the story.
Gotcha.
And so the next step was me just really working on the script over and over and over, because the person didn't win an Oscar by doing something overnight.
Yeah. Who could it be?
So I started working on the script.
Damien
over and
Chazelle.
over. Right.
No.
And long story short, we work on the script, and now I wrote the script with someone else who's another director,
Okay.
writer.
Whoa. Would I know him? Or her?
You would know him.
You
Yeah.
recognize the projects they've worked on.
Yeah. So I am working with him. We wrote the script together. His name is Michael Carney, and
So what's he worked on?
same kind of different as me, which was with Renee Zellweger, John Voight, and Dijman Honsu. A very beautiful film. It's on Netflix now, but it was out in the theaters in 2017. And he's working on another project right now. And so we're going to be working on Beautiful as well. So right now we're in the beginning stages of development, financing, and we've raised money already, and we're on the process of.
And he helps with that, or he's just helping write?
He wrote, and he's also going to be a producer on it
okay.
as well too. So, yeah,
That's really
Exciting.
cool.
yeah.
Is the A-list actor, are they producing?
Executive producing.
Executive producing.
Yeah.
So he's putting up the money.
Yeah.
Is he
yeah.
in it
All right.
too?
No.
I think he has.
Plays the neighbor.
I think he's got that finance covered.
But this guy is one, as far as like writing and directing, this guy's not just a pretty actor, and this guy's really well known for writing and directing. So I feel like
That's true.
really good,
Fantastic.
good guy
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be your mentor and
Yeah,
producer.
have in
Yeah.
the corner. So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
What kind of, if you can think of any specifics, like what kind of direction would he give you, like when you would submit a piece of the writing?
Well, one of the things that we talked about was, let me see. One of the things is being very clear. When you're telling a story and painting a picture, we always think that our audience know what we're talking about, and obviously language, how you write a description in a film, being very creative and making sure like your voice is being heard. What is really the underlying story or the meaning of what you're trying to say? And a lot of times we want to write a lot of dialogue, but it's better to write description, guiding you to like the next scene, from one scene to the next. So mine had like a lot of dialogue. And then another thing was also, spirituality. People believe different things, and not that I didn't put my own truth in it, but how would you talk about God if you had to talk about God in a scene, rather than the typical I went to church and the pastor preached? That's like your standard shot, right? When you would just write a story and it's just
Every faith-based film.
Yeah, every faith, A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Yeah.
Well, maybe the voice of God could be through the little boy next door.
Spoiler.
And, or whatever. So really think about, like, who's giving the message in your film without it being, like, on the nose, in the sense of black and white. Try creative ways of really telling a story that make people go, oh, I don't know if you guys watched The Book of Eli when,
good movie.
great movie and a very spiritual movie.
Yeah.
Even though there was a lot of fighting and all of that
Yeah.
stuff, but we got the message, and he never mentioned God
He didn't?
Yeah.
throughout the whole film.
Maybe at the end.
Maybe a little bit.
Spoiler
I don't know.
alert.
I don't believe he did.
I don't think he
but
did
I
actually.
wouldn't
No.
call it like a Christian movie or anything, but it, yeah, you're right. They kind of like.
Yeah, it was just a lot of, I saw a lot of things in it that was, and then you didn't know that he was blind. Like, it was just,
That was the shocker.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So just things like that made it interesting, but it was a spiritual story, message behind it. Let me say that.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm always a fan of movies that have very limited dialogue, and they let the visuals and the story just speak for itself.
Yeah.
And you're like, you didn't need to say anything. I got that moment. Like
Right.
the actor conveyed 1,000 words in that look.
Yeah.
And you're like, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like those are the best movies.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Where you
Yeah.
have to over explain everything. We
Yeah.
get it,
No, yeah. Those are one of the things that we talked about.
So you're still at the very early stages, still kind of working that out.
Yeah, that's like another thing. Like, we think, oh, it happens overnight. This has been going on since kind of about the same time when I was writing the book, but we just finished like finalizing the script earlier this year. We've raised a good amount of money, really good budget. The goal is $10 million, and we've raised a quarter of that so far, which is good.
Let me ask you this, Jozanne. If your producers came to you, you're in the home stretch, and they said, "We have all the money. The only one small clincher is we're going to get this name to star in it." You're still the writer. Mm-hmm. Would you say yes?
But you never decided whether you wanted to be in it, right?
I'm going to be in it, but I'm not going to be the star of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because, and I don't want to. I guess because I've done the play and I've written a book, I think it would just be more interesting to see someone else play that character.
Ooh, cool. Who?
Perhaps Austin.
Hey,
he's available.
If you got a Jamaican accent and
hey man, I have a.
That's the only one you know.
A bad. Yeah. Okay. Is there more?
He saw Cool Runnings. He thinks it's
I love that movie.
That was your research.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a line from that movie.
Yeah, I can't think.
Feel the rhythm.
Feel the rhyme.
That's right.
Something bobsled time. All right.
Okay. All right. We've embarrassed it enough.
Jamaican 101. Yeah.
I always told you like you should play that character.
What? Which one?
The lead. Because
I know
that's your story.
It is, but then you start thinking about, so we have age age in there. I don't think I could play a 16-year-old, personally, me.
Brad Pitt did it.
Yeah. Benjamin Button.
He played a 6-month-old.
An old one.
But we're looking at, I don't know if I should say her name.
Zendaya.
Who?
No.
Oh,
no.
She's beautiful.
She's like,
but,
what? No, I'm just kidding.
But she's, it would be great to have Letitia Wright on it.
What has she been in?
She's been in Black Panther. She played the young girl the sister in Black Panther.
I'm trying to think about which character that was. I have seen the movie.
Yeah, she had the braids, and she was funny.
Okay, I know who exactly you're talking about.
She was the youngest one. Yeah,
cool. That'd be awesome.
She's from Guyana.
Okay,
and she has Caribbean roots.
Cool.
And I feel like she can play.
Yeah, I remember her. She was great. She was great.
Yeah, she can play between 16 to 20 something.
Yeah, I see it.
Well,
for sure.
But I might play the grandmother, because my grandmother was a very young grandmother when I was born. She was in her 30s. She was like 32, 33.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that she was that young.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because my mom had me when she was 13. So.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, like in the book, you call her Mummy.
Yeah.
But it's like really like she
Right,
was at that age.
She was. Yeah.
It's like not. You
She
wouldn't
was
even
a young
consider yourself
woman.
like, oh, that's my grandmother.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Hiding a pocket full of secrets, as she's described on the back.
Right. She sure was. So.
That's amazing.
All right, so I was actually switching gears here.
Yes.
I know you're a big spoken word poet, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, could you, I know it's two different things, but could you freestyle?
Oh man, freestyle.
Because
Aaron will go next.
Because
Aaron will go right
you're
after.
great at rhyming words, obviously, and like doing poetry. But like,
Not that it has to rhyme.
Right, exactly.
Spoken word.
Doesn't have
it doesn't
to
have to rhyme. I was just wondering if you could.
I'm not a freestyle poet.
Oh, we don't have to do it. I was just wondering.
But maybe Aaron could do it and you could judge
No,
his.
I'm not gonna do it because I'm definitely.
that'd be great.
I'm definitely
Let
not.
me see.
Well, when you're asked,
I'm a big fan of just rhyming words, rap in
he
general.
loves Eminem. He loves Eminem.
Many other people besides Eminem, but yeah,
But you love Eminem.
It's the only one you talk about.
Kendrick, Kanye, all the
Right.
all the big ones,
All the most
ones
famous
they
ones.
play on the radio. But anyway, all right. Well, we're not gonna do that.
That went
freestyle.
nowhere.
I was just wondering.
It was it's
How
whatever.
about about some spoken word that you have in your back pocket?
Wow.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
Or a piece you're working on right now.
I could read something from the book. There's poetry in the book.
That'd be
Say
great.
yes.
All right. The book's right there.
Right there. Should I get it?
Go for
Yeah,
it.
maybe
Go
we
for
should
it.
maybe we should do plugs and then end with the, nice.
Yeah, maybe that might be
outro.
good.
Yeah. Where can people follow you?
Yeah.
And buy the book.
Well, on all social media handle. My name is Jozanne Marie. That's Jozanne. Marie, Marie. Pretty much.
Cool.
Great.
And you can buy the book on Amazon.
Amazon,
Barnes and Noble.
Nobles.
At the Grove is where I got it, and every Barnes and Noble, I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
And
You got
if
a
they
book
don't
tour
have,
coming up? A book date? Are you showing up somewhere?
well, I'm gonna be in Calabasas in a few weeks. We haven't settled on the final date, but you can find those things on my website. I'm always posting on my Instagram, mostly when I'm doing something next. The play is going to be on the 23rd of November.
We would love to attend.
Yes, please.
I'll be there.
And will be right here over by Melrose and La Brea.
Was it at the same theater that I saw it
No,
at?
it's a different place. And what else is coming up? So I'm doing that. I'm also in a play.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Where's
I'm in a
that?
play. It's going to be at the Stella Adler Theater. It's called Half Truth, Full Plate. And I play a college student who has issues with her body image, and she's in love with a guy and doesn't know how to express that. But she also has some family relational issues. So
Relatable.
yeah,
You're only playing one character in this one?
yeah,
She's breaking
Yeah.
breaking norms.
yeah. So I have that, but I'm also excited. Keep that date. Oh yeah, keep 2 dates: December 6th to the 7th. I'm doing another play called Detour that I'm really excited about. I play one of the lead characters, and her name is Gail. And she was an ex-drug addict who went to prison for, by mistake, her child died in a car because she was high.
True story?
No, it's not a true story.
Is that a
It's
mistake though? Okay. A response.
Well,
Yeah, and
Just-
right.
Just stirring the pot.
Thanks, yeah. And her life took a detour, and so she comes back home for the holidays, and we can know how all that goes down.
okay. And where theater is that going to be at?
It's going to be at the Corbelia Theater in Long Beach. So it's going to be a really great piece, and I'm excited about that. And I'm doing a TED Talk.
Oh, that's right. I
Yes.
remember you've been talking about that. Yes. I almost completely forgot about that.
I'm doing a TED Talk December 7th at the Delthorne Woman TEDx. And it's going to be in Torrance, and the link is on my Instagram if anyone wants to.
I have seen it.
come
That's
check it out.
huge.
I'm excited about
That's
that.
a huge one.
Yeah.
And what's the title of your TED Talk?
So the theme of the TED Talk is Better Together. And so I'm working on my speech, and
Like that Jack Johnson song.
so
No.
so check that out.
That's pretty cool.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. Now that you've written the book, are you planning on writing another one?
I am.
Ooh, exclusive for the
it.
podcast.
Hey, we're not-
Another memoir type? Or?
Right. We're not rolling anymore. What's the book?
Just us.
It's gonna be something completely different from how people probably. It's
Slapstick comedy.
no, I know. You got it.
Very Stephen King-ish.
Which is interesting you said Stephen King, because you had my book, like I went to Barnes and Nobles and my book is here and Stephen King's book is like right here.
Yeah, oh, is
And
it right
was,
next to yours?
Right next to
Really?
mine. And, because it was like summer reads or whatever.
Cool.
So,
A good summer read right there.
Yeah.
and then I had another author, Christine Kane, who is a very, amazing woman. And her book was right here. And so I posted on my Instagram, and someone was like, oh, so you're beside, because I was talking about Christine Kane, but they referred to Stephen King, so it was just a funny thing. But anyway,
Yeah.
But what's the new
book.
so the new book is called Everything I Wanted to Say as a Black Woman.
So this one goes further.
Yeah,
Is it
You're
still
really
about your
saying
story, or is it
no,
more?
it's different. It's
Okay,
different.
so more your perspective.
It's more of my perspective, and I'm Jamaican.
Were you offended when I did that Jamaican accent?
I was.
I was.
All right.
Yeah.
Guys,
Sorry to
I was
tell
This
offended
one's
you.
on
for
me.
you.
This is a learning moment. Okay.
Jamaican accents are funny because I've gone to auditions and they tell me, "Are you from Jamaica?" they don't think that that's an authentic Jamaican accent.
They think you're faking it.
I'm like, I was born like you. Do you need to see my? Yeah, so crazy. Anyway, because they're used to the stereotypical like, "What's up, man?" And Jamaicans don't really talk like that. But
So this is more of a Hollywood thing.
they took one. We say "man" a lot, but we don't really talk like that. Like, if you really go into Jamaica, you'll probably hear, "How you doing, man?" Yeah. But the way they have it here, it's like they just make it a stereotype.
Exaggerated.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
So the new
Sorry, Austin.
Let's do it one more time.
the new book is everything you wanted to say or want to say.
Everything I wanted to say.
Wanted
As
to
a
say.
black woman.
As a black
Yeah.
woman. What
Well,
do
just
want
say
to
it.
say?
Say it here.
No, like what are the types of themes that you're going over?
Well, I want to talk about beauty. That's one thing. And I want to talk about sexuality. That's like another thing. Like, I want to just get really, because we have so many like stereotypes about culture. And
So is it more about breaking down stereotypes?
it's a little bit.
in
yeah,
America?
In America.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had someone ask me this on my book tour. So how does it feel? At what point in your life did you feel American coming from Jamaica? And no one has ever asked me that question. So I had to really think about it, and I realized that I never felt American. And she go, "Well, you've been here over 20 years. I came here when I was 10. And I go, well, the reason I don't feel American is because everyone reminds me that I'm not American. When I go to an audition, well, what's that slight accent? And that's fine. That's not a problem for me. But this idea of, coming to another country and being assimilated, and you kind of try to let go of a lot of your own culture because I guess the American way is a better way. That's what people say.
America.
And
That's what they say.
Austin's like, that's the joke that did it.
I know.
Finally got her to break.
I'm out of here, guys.
So I want to talk about things like that, and that is, you guys are getting a lot of juicy stuff from me today.
That was good. We want the
that's-
nitty gritty.
That's what my second solo play is
Cool.
going to be about. So
Also, you're doing another solo play with it.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, it's going to be. I don't know what's going to come first, the play or the book, but they're both kind of.
Whatever brings in more dollars.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going with.
Just kidding.
But this solo play will be different. So yeah.
It's interesting though, because even from the first time I met you, even now, I always thought you were from here. I never thought.
Really?
Yeah, I never heard a very distinct accent where I'm like, she's not from here. I never once thought that.
Right.
It wasn't
Really?
until literally you told me like, oh, I'm from Jamaica, and I was like, really?
I would have thought you were raised in LA, possibly.
Yeah. I honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
But I knew coming in that,
Yeah, but I never would have guessed that until you told me that.
because I don't think you have a strong accent at all.
No.
I don't. But I mean, when I'm nervous or I'm overly excited, you probably will hear it. If if you're really listening, you'll probably hear it.
You weren't overly excited about this podcast?
I'm sure when you go back and play,
Or
you'll
nervous.
hear the accent very well.
The play, it's in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never heard it. And I was like, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
No idea.
No, this is pretty cool. So yeah,
That's awesome. So congratulations on the success of the book.
thank you.
The TED Talk, that's amazing. And hopefully when the new book comes out, you'll come back and grace us with your presence.
It would be an honor.
I would love it.
Yeah.
love to
Thank
hear
you
all about
guys
it.
for having me. This is so
Absolutely.
amazing.
Did you want to give us a reading?
Oh, yeah, let's do
this,
it.
is
Let's do
this,
it.
You just all about the reading, huh?
No, I mean we don't
It's
have
been
to.
quiet
Is
the
this
whole
an
time, just
appropriate
waiting.
setting to
Yeah.
get into such a serious thing?
Sure.
Only
I
if
was
you're
just
feeling
I
it.
was just a fan of spoken word poetry, you know.
Well, I'm gonna read. Look, I opened to one that's really
All right.
cool. I think
Let's do it.
Let's hear it.
because I was raised in the Boogie Down Bronx, and so this one is called "This Is My Neighborhood." Y'all turn up the volume. What's
We're
happening?
trying to.
What's
We're trying
happening?
to bring
Just
it up.
because you sat back.
Oh, got
That
it.
was it. I was like, stay close.
Okay, so here we go. The Bronx is where I live. Drugs is what they give. Dealers feeling dandy on the corner selling candy. Homies chilling in the cut. Roughnecks too cool to say, yo, what's up? Some might think this is no good. Hold on, that's my neighborhood. You see, the Bronx is where I live. Rappers' beats be fluid. Shorties slinging Reeboks. Homies spitting sweet talks. Hip-hop playing bebops. 5-0 cruising nonstop. But some might think this is no good. Hold on, y'all. That's my neighborhood.
Dope.
Loved it.
That was great.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Good use of the word dandy.
Yeah,
Hey.
I loved it.
It is candy. That was really cool. I appreciate you coming by. That was a great way to end it. We already gave the shout outs and the plugs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what you said, November, you got the play,
23rd.
right? TED Talk is when?
December 7th at 11 a.m.
And this is all on your website.
Right.
This is all on my website
And social media.
I'm mostly on Instagram, so follow me.
Me too.
I'm waiting
check
for you
it
to
out.
follow me back.
You got to earn it, buddy.
One day, Jozanne.
I'm following you.
I know. I'm just kidding. We like to give the guests a little bit of a hard time, you know.
And yeah, all that.
And that's your phone,
And that's my phone.
and that's a good time to
All right.
end it.
Well, yeah. No.
All right. Thank you, Jozanne, and we appreciate you coming by.
Thank you guys. This was a pleasure and honor. Thank you.
Loved it.
Thank you.